There were some stylists that were confused. They don't even know who the Beauty Council is.
I think to your point, that's totally fair. We haven't been telling our story enough. And with past history, it hasn't led to being proactive and letting people know what we do.
I think the biggest question is, are we going to see more support and more shows and more education that is today's market?
Is there anything that they're doing wrong on their side?
They're not doing anything wrong. I just have a little mirror on my desk and I look in it and I go, that's what's wrong.
You came into a shit store.
The Beautystick, why is there a charge for that right now?
We want to commit to an organization. Where does the money go?
We offer networking, we offer community, we offer professionalism, we offer something, a place that you can belong to that's bigger than yourself.
It's a great organization that is the voice of the beauty industry.
In that alone, you suddenly are joining a community of people who are beauty professionals who believe in doing the job right and really providing a great service to customers and clients.
What would be the one thing you would want them to know?
We are powerful.
Thanks again for taking your time to speak with us. After posting on the Vancouver Hairstylist community by Missy Clark and Sarah Truman, there's like 60 comments. There were some stylists that were confused. They don't even know who the Beauty Council is.
I think to your point, that's totally fair. We haven't been telling our story enough. And with past history, it hasn't led to being proactive and letting people know what we do. But I think it's a great organization that is the voice of the beauty industry, barbers, estheticians, nail techs, and hairdressers. To say that we encompass everybody and have everybody's point of view, I think would be misleading. I think we try to be broad in our approach and to say, what do we want best for our professional industry? And I think that kind of sums it up. And I think it's fair to say that people don't know. I think we're getting better. And with Greg now, the leadership is our executive director, who I think is doing an amazing job. And I don't say that lightly. We've had a lot of executive directors, and he is the bomb.
You know, I got to commend you. Your salon is highly successful. When I came in for those meetings with you, seeing the way you engage with your staff and everything, the love that you get from your staff, you've inspired me to be more engaged with my staff.
Thank you, Franco. That's very kind.
Yeah, thanks. And Franco, can I just say to echo that, when you're an executive director, you need the support of your board. If you don't have a supportive board that can bring knowledge and effort to the table, then you're just in a kind of you're stuck in a place where you can't really move forward. And the board we have now is just full of great, super smart, enthusiastic people from a wide variety of types of salons, barbers, skincare, people who've written books. We've got everything in it, and it's just our meetings flow. We move forward. We check off the boxes. And so thank you, Bruce, and everybody else that's on the board. It makes a big, big difference.
I know that, our first question was, in your words, who is the Beauty Council and what do you guys offer? Bruce, you covered that quite well. But Greg, if you can add to that, in your words, who is the Beauty Council and what do you guys offer to the professional beauty community?
So the Beauty Council really was, once upon a time, the extension of the government to oversee licensing. And that is the root of this association. So the Cosmetology Association, Western Canada, is really what I begin to think of us being more and more of. So I'd like to look back into 2003 and say, what did we do back then? What was our role? What was our responsibility? And at that point, it was kind of administrative, really. It was, okay, here's your license, give us your money, do a bit of this, do a bit of that. I'm not belittling what was done before, but that was kind of our role. We were sort of like the people who gave you your driver's license, right? We were a body that was required. We oversaw things. We made sure everything was tickety-boo and done properly. And then when deregulation came along, the association, I think, went into a couple of different directions, trying to stay relevant, trying to give something back to the industry, because suddenly now membership was voluntary, right? It's less like the driving license and more like BCAA, if I can make a comparison. Yeah. So what do you get for your money? We offer networking, we offer community, we offer professionalism, we offer something, a place that you can belong to that's bigger than yourself, right? So if you're a chair renter in a salon and you're working 3 days a week to help pay the bills, you can belong to us, which is the same as belonging to the same organization that someone with 2 locations with 60 staff and gross sales of millions of dollars. Suddenly you're invited to that party. And I believe that's where the value is. In that alone, you suddenly are joining a community of people who are beauty professionals who believe in doing the job right and really providing a great service to customers and clients. And of course, there's the other side, which is just the monetary benefits, right? So saving money on business advice, being able to get to classes for a cheaper price. So a bit of money saving, those kind of tangible things, but also the more meaningful stuff, which is networking and community.
For stylists that don't know who the Beauty Council is, What is there anything that they're doing wrong on their side? Where's the misconnection? Is there a system in place to help connect with them?
They're not doing anything wrong. I just have a little mirror on my desk and I look in it and I go, that's what's wrong. What's wrong is, I'm not getting.
Yeah, well, wait.
Wow.
You were like Obama coming into 2000. It's a like situation here. You came into a shitstorm. Picking up the pieces is hard when the pieces that you're picking up have big egos. I'm a hairstylist myself, and we want everything the right way, but we don't know what the right way is. So how can we, the hairdressers, help the Beauty Council get to that point? Because as a hairstylist myself and a salon owner, I want to see my team feel supported by not just me, but the actual industry. So what can we do to other than going and paying for a membership? How do we help you guys grow? And if we did help you grow, what comes next? What's your plan?
We can help just by having people participate. It's that simple. I'll give you a quick example. We put together a survey on the weekend, and we just kind of shot it out there, put it out on social, did a little emailer, kind of told a few people about it. And I was hoping to get maybe 75 responses. That's a pretty good size, right? We got over 1,700 replies to that. It just blew my mind. And what that told me was people care. People want their voice heard. People want to participate. No one wants to have their mouth not, closed up and not listened to. It was just this resounding, I was just like, I was floored. It was like, I don't know, it's like, when you have those little birthday parties and you invite 20 people and 30 show up and they're all really great people, like one of those, like the best night ever. So, participate. It's just like, stand up, let your voice be heard, be counted, and don't be afraid to voice a reasonable, constructive, positive message.
There has been a couple comments about that survey about saying how vague it was. I think a lot of the industry just wants a little bit more gritty questions. It was too easy. It was too kind. So I feel like a lot of the industry wants to get to the nitty gritty, and we're here putting some icing on the cake. But when it's like, no, cut into the cake, show me the guts so we can rebuild it. And I think that's kind of like the voice of the industry. And you guys are receiving that. But like you're saying, if we don't voice this stuff, you guys are only going to be doing what you think is right. You see 1,700 people, and that's great. That's amazing. But 0 people are actually telling you guys, hey, how about more? I think the biggest question is, are we going to see more support and more shows and more education that is today's market? The survey was with the pandemic right now, but I think more people are looking after the pandemic what kind of support they're going to get. Yes, we want to commit to an organization that is super supportive. Where does the money go? Clarity, more transparency.
Yeah, so I'll just speak to that, Franco, and it's a really good point, and it's a totally valid concern. The purpose of this particular survey was to help inform the provincial government on how they can best regulate us back to work. So it was a very narrow objective. The principal question of the survey was, what do we need to recommend to the provincial government to provide them with some sort of guidance on their guidance back to us? And Dr. Bonnie Henry and Adrian Dix are very scientifically oriented people. They are interested in the control of this virus. They would like to get us back to work in a safe way. And if you watch Dr. Bonnie Henry, she is all about just like, we need to stop. I mean, her words are, and I watch her every day, by the way, she says,
she's phenomenal.
She says we have to break the chains of transmission. These are my little notes that I take. And so when I asked the question, I need to respond to her, right? I need to present something to her this week that responds directly to her concerns, which are, how can people get back to work? Are they willing to wear a mask? What services do they need or would like to do based on where they can make the most money? We need to go back to the government and say, we recommend you let these people back to work in these sectors and allow them to do these services. Because if you look what's happened in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, they basically said, well, head on back to work, only hairdressers and nobody else. And that leaves all the nail people out, that leaves all the skincare people out.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair.
Yeah, you think of that cohort. Those are like, mainly women in their late 20s. Maybe they're stuck with a lease payment on an IPL machine, or they've got overhead that they can't variabilize their costs. And yet here they are told, too bad, so sad. And we're saying, no, everybody at the salon should be allowed to come back. And especially from an owner's standpoint, if you've got your shop divvied up into different sectors and you say, well, you can only do dry haircuts but no waxing, well, you could see your margins in waxing but not in dry haircuts. The purpose of that survey, just to kind of put it in perspective, was just
Okay.
what can we do quickly? What's relevant to what the government wants to hear? How can we ask those questions, package it up, and send it on over? We could have asked those other questions, and they would have just gone like, "Yeah, thanks. We don't care about that. We got a virus to deal with right now."
Yeah.
So that was the purpose of that.
I think we can all appreciate what you're doing as well, Greg. I can only imagine what it's like to be on the top of the channel here where all eyes are on you. I think there's a whole row of stylists in front of us right now that are looking to see what they can do to be part of the whole equation as well.
We have been a little bit the worst best secret. People don't know about us, and I think we've been, as Greg said, we have ourselves to blame, but we are trying diligently to put ourselves out there and be more of a voice and to create more beauty jams. What we're calling beauty jams. We've done some soft launches on it. We need to be more aggressive with it, I guess you could say. But we need to be out there. We need to be far more top of mind in our community with education, with business jams, with beauty jams, with nail jams, to facilitate togetherness and to create more education and more value to members and non-members, but preferably members.
And that gets me as a stylist, gets me excited because, we haven't had many things that get us excited in BC for hair education. Like, of course, we get a lot of education, and Terenzio can vouch for it with, his experience in trying to bring education to the city. But because of the lack thereof, every time there is education, nobody shows up because everybody's kind of disengaged from it. So
in terms of regulation, where do you think we're at? Is that something that we're looking at reinstating at some point in the future? And if so, what do you think it's going to look like and what would the repercussions be?
I think we're a long way off from regulation. The reason being is that we have been unregulated for so long. That said, this government is actually a little more regulation friendly. And I believe that this COVID experience has certainly turned on the light in the room. And Adrian Dix did make a reference to it last week. So I think it has probably surfaced and come up on the table a little bit.
We've heard of that too as well. Yeah, that comment seemed to hit hairstylists quite hard.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we have been in favor, and we reflect the sentiments of a lot of our members. We are in favor of regulation. The reason being, when you don't have a regulated industry, there are no rules about how you can conduct your business. Are we about to be regulated? I would say no. I would say that that's a ways off, and there are a lot of people who are going to push back, right? Secondly, how do we integrate those people from that period who have just opened a shop and have become successful without formal education or whatever? I don't know. There could very well be an exam that needs to be challenged. I don't know how that might look, but it can't be unfair, right? We can't say, hey, guess what? If you don't have a license, if you don't have something from 2003, go get a new job. You have to build in some mechanism to bring the people in so that they're allowed to either be somewhat grandfathered with a challenge or whatever. But yeah, so there's got to be a way. It's got to be fair.
I feel like there's also I look at a lot of hairdressers that are licensed, and several times you'll see them, well, I graduated hair school and they haven't taken any current education and they've been in the industry for 15 years. And then you have somebody that isn't licensed and they're going education every 3 months to better their skills. And there's such a difference between a licensed person that has no passion in building themselves and then a person that is doing it for the craft and that love doing the hair, and they're just constantly going and getting educated. And I always get this question is well, don't you want people to be red sealed? And I'm like, yeah, I would love the red seal to come in and I love this organization. But what I would love to see more is pressure on the continuous of education, having accreditation to continue growing your skills every year, having to have 7 hours of practical education a year or 7 days worth of it or something.
I would say hairstylists are they're chemists, they're magicians, they're therapists, we're artists, we're business people, we're everything. We're everything in one. So where does the education, what is the necessary part? I've heard many people say hairdressers need to learn how to make money. They need to learn how to save money. They need to learn their business. And then I've heard others say they've got to get their craft down because they got to do colors right and they can't screw up hair color. And so it's so broad. Where do you start? Bruce, I know you live it, so maybe you could speak to that a bit more.
I mean, I'll toe the line for sure, saying that regulation would be good on some levels, but sometimes I think on a very personal level, let's be careful what we ask for. Yeah. Because if we go back to regulation, then we've got a host of bureaucracy, then we've got the list of things we need to do. I mean, we had the health people come in the other day, or a couple of weeks ago, and she said our dishwasher, which is a 2-drawer dishwasher, super expensive dishwasher, and she said, no, that's not good enough. We need a industrial dishwasher because we still don't here. And I went, well, it works. We've never had a complaint, la, la, la. So that kind of speaks back to regulation again, saying, well, here on this line in, B times 2 or section 5, you think you got to do this. It's like, well, where do we come in with that? Regulation, I think there's a lot of pros to regulation. I think there could be some downside to regulation as well.
Yeah, true. And if I can just tack on one piece, the one area that should be regulated, or at least there needs to be some control over, it's salon hygiene. And the canary in the coal mine before COVID was our insurance provider on January 1st said, we are no longer providing group cut and paste like packages for the beauty industry. We're out. And so I had lunch with them for 2 hours, and I said, why? What's going on? Can't we fix this? You can't just leave us here drying out. And they said, your industry has become too risky. So this is Lloyd's of London. Like, we're talking big insurance companies, right? They deal with ships that are attacked by pirates. Yeah.
But
and
has there been any lawsuits with in our like the Lower Mainland?
No shortage of them. So not only on the liability side for infections.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, infections. They just paid out $5,000 in February to someone who lost or got an infection in a toe. They were just dealing with a $25,000 property loss because of IPL machines not being secured properly. But health and hygiene is really getting up on the radar. And the thing is, once upon a time, Canadians never really sued one another. We sort of just maybe had a snowball fight or like stole the other guy's beer, or I don't know, something.
Play a great game of hockey.
Yeah, right. Short sheeted his bed or let air out of his tires. But that was the Canadian way of getting back at somebody. But now we're sort of becoming more lawyer-centric and legal-centric, and we're taking people to court. So, you have to think of the framework that we're dealing with in an unregulated space where I could go do waxing tomorrow. I could go do microblading. What do I know about sanitation? Doesn't matter, because no one's watching, no one's caring. Even the health inspector isn't quite sure. And then what happens when and I've said this before in our board meetings, then I have a little girl's birthday party with, 6 12-year-olds, and they all have a pedicure, and each one of them walks out of there with hepatitis. Well, I guarantee you I'm going to court. And I guarantee you that unless I have taken proper precautions to prevent that infection, my insurance company is probably going to say, too bad, you're out of luck. Like, you should have known better. You should have taken better precautions. You should have, paid attention to your hygiene. So kind of going back to this ain't your mom's hair salon, because once upon a time there was cut and color. Well, now we've got cut, color, very complete waxing. We've got shaving, we've got microblading, we've got, lash. I mean, just think of what we're doing now. We're getting up close and personal.
Well, even the scalp tattooing now, right? There's the scalp tattooing. Like, that is crazy that they're allowing that. And I've noticed that I don't even think they have to be in an enclosed room. It's like you have to have like a sanitation wall or something. Like, you have to have a divider. It doesn't have to be an enclosed room.
I should try that.
It's pretty cool, actually. It's actually a cool service. A buddy of mine's getting it done soon, and it's really nice.
Right, and permanent eye lining, permanent lip lining. I mean, so I believe that's where the potential for danger is. And unfortunately, we are seeing headlines. We put one on our Facebook page a couple of months ago. We are seeing headlines where salons are getting publicly drawn out for exposing clients and customers to dangerous diseases.
Do you think it's time to maybe separate the cosmetology industry and actually have like the hair world kind of get away from this esthetician world a little bit? Or is that just like this is just coming out of nowhere, but like, is it time to just say, because there's so many, like you just listed, eyelashes, tattooing, facials, nail, all of this, and then there's the hairdressers that do all our services. So is it time to separate, or is it better to keep us all together and keep it so broad?
I mean, we had spa, but we closed spa. I think even with
why did you close spa, by the way? Was it not working for you?
We couldn't make money. There was no money in it, and the amount of square footage required, the infrastructure, the training, the revenue per square foot, it just wasn't in our model. We could have never been. We tried to be successful, and we were definitely not successful in that. I mean, we have a barbers association. We have, maybe it would be a good idea to throw, like, they have spa shows and they have hair shows, and rarely do you see a spa show with a hair show. And the spa shows are, I mean, they're massive. They're hugely successful, apparently. And we don't have the same for hair. I mean, I could see potential some segregation there.
A rule for a spa shouldn't really be for a salon, because, like, like you said, like the nail fungus and everything wouldn't happen. So like there's certain protocols that they're going to need to know for salons compared to spas.
You're saying it could hold stylists back from what their potential could be in terms of their business, right?
Just salon, like I think it's more just like the government.
I did my training in Europe, in Germany, and I have to say that the training in Europe is amazing. And did I do in Europe, they have to, certainly in Germany, they did 4 years of training. I didn't do the 4 years in training. I didn't have, my German wasn't that great, but I was there for a while. The difference, I think, between a European or a German stylist and you come out as a Canadian that goes to some places that do 600 hours or 1,000 hours, I mean, you're talking apples and oranges here. And the caliber of hairdresser, from a knowledge point of view, from a sanitation point of view, from a technical point of view, it is outstanding to see the difference. And they realize the business component and the math and the compensation models and the what it takes to do a business where we don't necessarily have that or don't do it well.
Yeah. So there's a couple of people that were wondering why you guys are charging for the Beautystick. Why is there a charge for that right now?
We did drop it $15, so right off the bat. And we've been working with a few partners, notably West Coast Beauty, to provide, they're covering $25 of the rate as well. And we are working with larger salons to get all of their team members on board for bulk rates. And I know that is maybe a privilege of large salons. However, at the same time, there are many juniors in there who would normally not take it. So for us, it's kind of a no-brainer just to bring people in. The reason we are charging for this, twofold. First of all, we have our costs, right? We have the platform that we hosted on. We've got all the development that we have to do. I got a big pile on my desk right over there of paper that I have to actually go through, and I've hired people to go through to say, these are the updates. Like we pulled all the standards from Alberta. I'll actually show it to you because it's just a big pile of stuff. But these are all, like visually, it's pretty impressive. Like that's sort of, This is the kind of work that we do on a regular basis to make sure that what we're doing is up to date, current, and that costs money. So we have to fly to Alberta and meet the health inspectors, go to the show and be part of their seminars and their presentations, work with health inspectors to share information back and forth to hear what they are finding in the field and to be able to educate them on new services in the salon. So, and then when we get back, we have the administrative staff. We've got a certificate to mail out. We have stickers to print. We've got envelopes to stuff. We've got postage to handle. That's just some of
digital.
Some of the hard. Well, you can't. You can't just go digital. You can't hire a robot to figure out how to tell a stylist how to deal with COVID. You've got to bring people in. They need to be paid. You've got to do research and figure out what's right and what's wrong. And we've seen some guidance out there. Just saw it the other day, and I'm not going to name a name, but it says you should wash the outside of your windows to help you avoid COVID. And this is from a fairly well-respected source. I'm thinking somebody's not doing their research. Someone's advising the industry to do something that's totally wrong and just adds confusion. So none of those things come for free. And this is why we have to charge, because there are costs. Now, I should say that BeautySafe operates under the administration of the association. So every dollar, every penny that comes in for BeautySafe goes into the association. That money belongs to the members and can be used back for the members. So it's not like I'm out buying a Maserati this weekend or Bruce is deciding which country to go to, in his citation jet. No. This money belongs to the members. It comes back to the association, and it will be funneled back into the industry.
Is there a different price for members versus non-members?
There is no different price. And the reason we chose to do that is we didn't want to tie membership, which in itself is a cost, to getting safe in this environment, COVID-19. Okay. Because they're two separate costs, and I think it would actually make it worse if we said you also have to buy a membership to get the bonus.
If you guys had a crystal ball a year from now and the industry was exactly the way you wanted it, what would it look like?
Yeah, we often think of that. We're kind of thinking from our point of view, we're thinking, what is the worst case scenario? Where do we think it's going to go post-COVID, economically, and on a health crisis? So we're preparing for, and we don't want to prepare for, and hopefully it doesn't happen, worst case scenario. Like if the economy just completely tanks and takes a nasty nosedive, how are we going to deal with that? So part of me thinks I would love to go back to the old days where our productivity numbers are fantastic. We're still increasing our average service ticket. Our frequency, I think frequency is going to become more when post-COVID. I think clients are going to think No. I want to book every 4 weeks because I'm not getting back to this situation again.
Yeah.
I would like to I'd like to make more money. I think our margins, and you can talk to any salon, 95% of hair salons don't make money. I mean, they literally do not make, they sit in between red and black or in black all the time.
Yeah, we had a good conversation with Kaylee the other day too about that.
I would love to be in an industry where we actually are seriously increasing our bottom line. We should be at 15, 20%. No problem. That should be our mandate as salons. That's a dream world. I would love to move to that area.
I would love to see more business sense. That's me personally. I'm a business person. So I always say, you know, what if I were to own a salon, I'd say what I do is I sell services, and with that money, I have a hair salon, not the other way around. So what do you have to do? You know, when I was in magazines, I used to say, what do you do? I sell ads, and with that money, I make a magazine. I mean, that's because without money, there's no magazine. So it would be really great for stylists and people in the industry, beauty professionals, to get a handle on business, to charge what they deserve, to not call themselves just a hairdresser, but no, I'm a beauty professional. This is what I do. I went to school. I'm an artist. I'm a magician. I'm a chemist. I'm a therapist. I'm a creator. I'm a business person. Get out of that mindset of I'm just a hairdresser and really push forward and out of this crisis and show your chops. And I think that's what crises do. I mean, this is the big storm. What's left after a storm? The strongest trees.
I was just on a conversation before this call. I had another conversation this morning. I was talking to this hairdresser, and to Greg's point, talking to this hairdresser is booked 3 months out. It has a waiting list the size of Atlanta, and has a extremely talented, amazing person, and charges $105 for a haircut. So why do we live in fear in our industry to think, oh my God, I can't charge Betty Sue another $5 for a haircut? I said to this person, minimum you should go up $50. She should be in the high hundreds to $200 area tomorrow. As soon as our doors open, that's what she needs to do.
Yeah.
Fear. And she's based on fear. And in our industry, we need to start doing that. To make more money in our industry, for people to make more money in our industry, we need to be charging more.
People need more. Stylists need more confidence at the end of the day what they're doing. Franco
100%. And we've got. Let me just back up. Just to speak to what you're saying, Bruce, is that we are going to be in this incredibly privileged position when all of this is over, and it's the magic of supply and demand. And the supply is going to drop because there are people who will not come back. They just will not come back. And you're still going to have people out there who need help. So there's going to be an incredible opportunity here to say, And the magic of supply and demand is that you get to raise the price. That's all there is to it. And that's why oil is so cheap. Why is gas cheap right now? There's too much of it around. But when it disappears, the price goes up. It's just the law of business. So all of us should take a look at this and say, if we're standing when this is all over and we're in business, we should raise our prices, not to gouge, not to rip off, but to simply recover. And I'm sure Kaylee went through the cash flow analysis where, you need to come back by February. You should be cash flow positive again. So accelerate that process, shorten the recovery time, and be one of those trees that's left standing after the storm.
From my experience as a young stylist, I always remember when I first started in Yaletown, my boss told me, you're worth what we're making you pay or charge. Like, you're worth it. So I never believed it until I started traveling for education. And then I started realizing quickly, I was like, shit, she's right. I am worth it. Like, I am different than the person next to me. Not better, just different. And that is what is attracting my clients to me. And to what Bruce said is like, we need to charge more. We pay the highest of all rates. Like, we're paying the highest cost per station, but yet we're not charging the right amount. Kudos to you guys for how you guys are explaining it, and I support that. As a stylist, I want to engage with hairdressers all around BC, especially, is just go and dive into education because it's going to teach you your worth, and it's going to make you value your skills, and it will change the I'm just a hairdresser to I'm a fucking hairdresser.
100%. 100%.
We are powerful. We are more powerful together, and when we have each other's back, this is an opportunity to make change, and a positive change.
There's a bunch of hairstylists in front of us right now. Greg and Bruce, if there's one thing you would want all stylists that are watching this right now, what would be the one thing you would want to say to them, or the one thing you'd want them to know?
I would just say, pick up, come together, and move forward.
I know this is a cliche, and it's so said so often, but we're in this together, and let's make this an amazing industry. Let's make this a better industry. And this is our opportunity right now. Post-COVID, what's the saying that it's a shame to
a crisis is, I always say a crisis is a terrible thing to waste.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's true. Crisis is a terrible thing to waste. We have an opportunity. Let's make it happen.
Head on over to beautycouncil.ca. Take a read. We're actually producing some new content over this weekend, and so there's going to be a little more clarity around what we have to offer. It can be as simple as taking a look around, right? The first step is going into a store and seeing what's there, and then try something on. Maybe join our mailing list, participate in a constructive way on our social media channels, and if we're right for you, join.
I think our Western Canada Beauty Association or Cosmetology Association is really going to get stronger. You'll hear more and more of us. We have some projects we're trying to launch and execute as we're speaking. And we want to make this a voice. We want to make the Beauty Council a voice for all of us. And in this situation, and I think this is a nice springboard, the COVID, unfortunately, but it's a nice springboard for us to do our debut.
Is there any information you guys can give us about what we're looking at when the salons open?
Great question. And we'll just have to do whatever the government says, just like in Saskatchewan and Manitoba and everywhere else. Our job right now is to try and steer the government in a direction. Go this way. Don't forget about the small people. I was on CKNW this morning and Simi asked me, how could this look? Is it going to be like 50% capacity? And I said, well, we've got some stylists who are chair renters who work 3 days a week. And we've got some people who have multiple locations with 30 or 50 in each. So there is no one-size-fits approach. I think there's going to have to be a certain amount of trust. We need to give the industry confidence that we know what we're doing and we'll do it well. We just want to get back to work and stay safe. I put some stuff on Facebook yesterday, some preliminary ideas about a phase 1, phase 2 rollout. Got some great feedback. We'll release more of this sort of as we come. And then when we're done with our recommendation document, we'll throw it out there for everyone to have a look at. And participation, as I said earlier, is key.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Greg. For anybody who has any questions, comments, or concerns about this interview, make sure you put them in the comments below, and we will make sure to respond and answer some more questions.